This video we will be talking about scaphoid fractures. Scaphoid fracture is the most common injury of the wrist joint and it comprises of around 15% of the injuries of the wrist. Scaphoid fracture constitutes about 60% of all the carpal fractures. This problem is more commonly seen in male patient as compared to female patient in the ratio of 2:1. Now if we talk about scaphoid, it's a boat-shaped bone and the bone can fracture either from the center, that is the waist, or from the proximal pole or from the distal pole. The most common area of fracture is the waist, that is the central portion. About 65% of the fractures are in the waist. Around 25% of the fractures are in the proximal pole and around 10% of the fractures are in the distal pole. In children, the distal pole fractures are relatively more common because there is a different ossification center in adolescence. So if we are talking about children, you may have a higher incidence of distal pole fractures. Now scaphoid bone has got a very unique blood supply. Most of it comes from the dorsal carpal branch of the radial artery and it goes from the dorsal aspect proximally, and this blood supply the most of the part of the scaphoid, and so when there is an injury to the proximal part of the scaphoid, there is a very high chance of development of a avascular necrosis. It is said that if the fracture is in the proximal 1/5 of the scaphoid, there is about 100% chance of developing a AVN, and if the fracture is in the proximal 1/3 of the scaphoid, the AVN rate is close to around 33%. Now, how does a person sustains a scaphoid fracture? The scaphoid fracture is seen when a person fall on an outstretched hand with a hyper extended wrist, that is a dorsiflex wrist, ulnar deviated, and a pronated arm like this. So when a patient fall with a hand like this, there is a high incidence of scaphoid fracture. Now when we talk about scaphoid fractures, there are very important features associated with scaphoid fractures. This is one of the very unique fractures in the body which takes, number one, takes a lot of time to unite. It has got a high non-union rate. It has got a high AVN rate. Now what is AVN? That if the blood supply to the area of the scaphoid is disturbed, that is called as a AVN, that is a avascular necrosis. Now how can one identify whether a person has sustained a scaphoid fracture? First thing we have to see is the pattern of the injury. So if the pattern of injury, as I told you, is fall on the outstretched hand with dorsiflex wrist in ulnar deviation, pronated arm, more commonly likely to be a scaphoid fracture. Then we need to confirm it with an X-ray, and we usually take a AP and a lateral X-ray of the wrist. Besides that, we take a scaphoid view which is in ulnar deviation like this. So when we keep the arm like this and take a shoot, the scaphoid is seen in the whole length, and there is a high chance that we will identify the scaphoid fracture. But scaphoid fracture can be missed in initial 14 days of the injury. So that means that even if there is a fracture of the scaphoid, you may have X-rays which are normal for initial 14 days. Hence, nowadays it is imperative that if you have a high suspicion of a scaphoid fracture, you should ask for the extra tests. Now what are the physical examination which is done? Now you will have a tenderness on the anatomical snuff box. So this region, this is called as the anatomical snuff box, and this is the anatomical region of the scaphoid, and here there will be painful spot if you have fracture in the scaphoid. Then you can have a tubercle tenderness and you have pain on compression as well. So these are all provocative tests for scaphoid fracture. Now as I told you, that in initial 14 days you may not identify the scaphoid fracture with a normal X-ray. So then what is the test that can confirm the diagnosis? Now you can do two tests. The best test for me is to do an MRI scan, because an MRI scan has a very high specificity and sensitivity to the tune of around 99 to 100%. Scaphoid is hence best for an occult fracture less than 24 hours. If you are getting a patient less than 24 hours and you want to identify the fracture, get an MRI done. Also, MRI is very good to assess the vascularity in the scaphoid. Also, the MRI is a very good test to assess for avascular necrosis, and which is specifically seen in T1 sequences. Occasionally, we can do bone scan which can pick up occult fracture in acute phase to the tune of around 98% specificity and around 100% sensitivity. So bone scan is also a test which can be done in acute circumstances. Now the role of CT scan. Now CT scan is a very good investigation, not for initial diagnosis but for surgical planning and management. CT scan is the best test to see the fracture geometry, the displacement, the angulation, any cystic or lytic lesions, any features suggestive of non-union, the location of the fracture, the angulation of the deformity, the size of the fragment, and any collapse. So CT scan is a very good test, which is a test which directs our treatment and directs us about what needs to be done for a particular patient. So CT scan is usually a test which we do for the surgical planning in cases of fractures of scaphoid. Now when we come to the treatment part, the treatment of scaphoid fractures can be classified into three types. One is immobilization in the cast. Now cast immobilization is usually advised for undisplaced fractures less than 1 millimeter of displacement. It is more successful in distal fractures, then waist fractures, then proximal pole fractures. The duration of immobilization is also different according to the site of the fracture. There is a continuous debate regarding where above elbow cast is given or whether a below elbow cast should be given. But normally we give a scaphoid cast, and usually the timing is controversial, but at least 2 months of cast immobilization is required. And let me emphasize a very important point. If the patient is delayed in the presentation and you apply cast late, then the chances of non-union and the chances of poor healing is much more. So if you want to apply the cast, you need to apply the cast in the acute phase when the patient sustains an injury. The X-rays may be normal at that particular time. Now if the fracture is displaced more than 1 millimeter, then you have options of doing either a close reduction and percutaneous fixation or an open reduction. So now normally if the displacement is more than 1 millimeter, specifically you have fractures which are transverse, we prefer a closed percutaneous fixation with either SCS or Herbert kind of screws, and which should be passed on the central axis of the scaphoid, engaging both the subchondral zone. Now if you have a proximal pole fracture, ideally you can take a dorsal approach, and if you have a waist or a distal pole, you can take a volar approach depending on your convenience and your surgical expertise. Now occasionally when either you are late, when the deformity is more, when there is more than 15 degrees of humpback deformity, when there is an associated DC, when there is a perilunate dislocation associated, then you may also need to do open reduction in some patients. The open reduction again can be done by volar or dorsal approaches as required. Now approximately 5 to 10% of the patient who present to you with scaphoid fractures and whom you put in the cast will actually go into non-union, and they will later on need open reduction internal fixation with bone grafting. And again, the chance is more in proximal pole and waist fractures as compared to the distal fractures. And as I told you earlier, approximately again 20 to 30% of the patients may land up into avascular necrosis of the proximal fragment, and this risk is also more with proximal pole fractures as compared to waist and distal pole fractures. So friends, I hope that I have compiled a scaphoid fracture in detail for you, and I am able to clear all your doubts regarding scaphoid fractures. If you have any more doubts, please feel free to write down on the comment box. We will be very happy to solve your queries. We also advise you to please subscribe to our channel Advanced Hospitals. Thank you.